Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It,
Pop Culture Edition.
Sunday edition.
Um, if you're here, please go to your share button and send this episode to everyone you know so
Mhm.
that they will listen to it. Um, and then follow or subscribe to us and give us a 5-star review.
I saw that this woman accidentally sent her daughter's first birthday invitation to every single one of her 480 contacts. That's what we want you to do.
Mhm.
Please.
Um,
But
there's a lady.
purposefully.
Yeah, there was a lady behind me in Target yesterday, and like waiting at the self checkout, and I was like, just chilling. And she like walked up around me and like went up to the like Target worker, and she was like, "Is that lane not open?" And I was like, the first one in the line. She was talking about me, and the woman was like, "No, it's broken. Like the green light was on, but there was like a basket on top of the
Mhm.
register, and it said like out of order. Like I'm not
Awesome.
done. I can fucking read." And she's just standing there like. And then the girl looked at me and she was like, "Tell me about your sweatshirt." And it was a housewife did it sweatshirt.
And now she's going to tell all of her friends.
Yep. But I was like, and then that lane did open up, and I was so busy talking to her that I didn't see it, and I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, she's pissing this lady off on purpose."
All right. Well, friends, we're going to be doing the obvious today,
Mhm.
talking about the Torture Poets Department.
Mhm.
But no worries, we'll also be doing our typical Bravo updates, Vanderpump World, deets, all those
Tiddly
things.
bits.
Yeah. So this week, Bravo threw a bunch of just like headlines at us before
Mhm.
Tuesday.
Mhm.
So true tidbit fashion, just like quick snippets. Crystal will not be returning to season 14 of Beverly Hills, which when Anna Marie was fired, everyone was like, could y'all fire Crystal? And maybe they listened. But Crystal doesn't seem to be as hurt as Anna Marie was.
Mhm.
Alexia and Todd from Miami are getting a divorce after 2 years. She posted a story that said, I am shocked and heartbroken that Todd has chosen to dissolve our marriage. So no suspense about whose decision that was.
Mhm.
Travis, Kelsey, and Taylor Swift got to go to Coachella and be like normal-ish, like in the pit people.
Mhm.
Good for them. She got to watch her friends perform. And the
Like
reason
all of
this
them.
yeah. And the reason this relates to Bravo's headlines is that Teresa Giudice got a picture with her.
Mhm.
Hilarious on Watch What Happens Live, Andy Cohen said, Taylor Swift picture with Teresa Giudice. And I was like,
Mhm. Hmm.
I don't know that she
Yeah.
really
On
differentiated who Teresa was versus everyone else in that crowd.
on New Heights, Jason was like, "So were y'all like backstage, or like it looked like y'all were like in the crowd?" And Travis was like, "Yeah, I like to be where the fans are. Well, because I am a fan of music and live shows,
Mm-hmm.
so I like to be where everyone else is." I
Yeah,
was like, he's like, I like to be amongst the common people.
amongst my people. Um, Travis Kelsey will also be hosting a new Amazon Prime show called Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity?
They should consider renaming it "Do You Ball or Do You Know Aristotle?"
Mm-hmm. They should. He should have let them know beforehand. Like, there's going to be a good title. Like, just wait. Wait to name
Yeah.
this show, please.
My favorite thing right now, and it's so mean, but people who are like on TikTok being like, okay, all the words you don't know what they mean in Tortured Poets Department, here are their definitions, and people keep commenting, they're like, send this to Travis Kelsey,
Yeah,
help him.
yeah. Which, like, no shocker once we all saw the squirrel tweet. Like, Billy, I said, basically, she said, this man is not smart. And Billy said, was anyone like holding their breath thinking like Travis Kelsey might know Aristotle? No.
He said that, but he said he learns new things from her every day.
I bet he does.
Because there's just so much
Like how
room.
to spell squirrel. Um,
One time she asked me how to spell orange.
not nothing, but no like groundbreaking, internet breaking things on Summer House. But I must say,
Except
like
this.
Danielle was wild. I so like okay, I liked Danielle. I always
Hmm.
was like, ew, why is she friends with Lindsay? But then like when her and Lindsay broke up, I was like, okay, poor Danielle. Then on Winter House, I was like, what's up with Danielle? But then I felt bad for her with Joe Bradley. So like I go back and forth. And now I'm like, I think I might just hate Danielle. Like
She
she's
fucking sucks.
wild. She just tells Paige, I think you give Craig nothing.
And
And
then
like
that's how she said it.
yeah,
Said
we
nothing.
when I kept seeing the previews for this, I thought like it's gonna end up being like a friendly banter conversation where she's gonna be
Yeah.
like, I'm just kidding, or like I don't mean it like that, or
No.
and Paige is like, yeah, like that's not me. And she's like, but I think that's what he needs. Why the fuck would you know what he needs?
Right.
Paige is like, I'm not gonna hold your hand, I'm not gonna be reassuring, like that is not me. I think he needs reassurance. Like, what the fuck do
Like
you know about Craig? And
he said last week
Paige
he didn't.
yeah, and Paige on the after show said, in that moment, I wasn't offended. I thought, has Danielle even met Craig? Oh, probably like twice. And she was like, so I'm not worried.
Yeah. Also, I think what really bothered me about the conversation was it looked like Danielle was so pleased with herself.
Yeah.
Like
Like
saying
she
it, like
thought
it
she had
looked
made
like
Paige think
yes.
or something.
Like she looked like she thought she had done something. And I was
Yeah. Yeah.
like you're like 40 years old. Like wipe that stupid
Hmm.
fucking grin off of your face after being a mean girl. Like you like
Also,
it's ridiculous.
in the same episode, which like I understand this is like not the same thing, but in the same episode, I'm saying to Billy, like, not to be rude, like not that other people in the world should not want to date Joe the Balloon Man. But Danielle, who owns an app and for years has been telling us how she's a corporate girly and
Mhm.
like needs a man that's like successful and dated like a busy chef and told us like I love that he's busy and I love he has his own thing. She's going after blue collar sets up balloons as a living balloon guy Joe. Like it just seems yeah, like why do I
It
need
felt
your
like
advice on
right.
relationships or like anything? Like what?
It also it felt like in the way she talked about it in the interviews, it felt like she wanted to go after Joe to prove that she could do it
Right.
and do it better than Gabby.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gabby's like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
engaging in this. And I felt bad that Lindsay, because I feel like Lindsay is one of those like pushes for a good show people.
Mm.
I feel like Lindsay was like, this would be good TV. And Gabby's like, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah.
Also, the after show has been awkward because I don't know if you've watched it, but you've watched like or seen some of the Vanderpump after show clips, I'm
Mhm.
sure. And like they pair people.
Mhm.
And so it's like Sierra and Paige, Kyle and Carl, Lindsay and Gabby. But then they have Amanda and Danielle, which before hasn't been like super. It was a little bit like that's a weird pairing, but now like they're talking about what Danielle said to Paige, and Amanda's
Mhm.
like, that was kind of wild, right? And Danielle's like, why? And she's like, so saying like you give your boyfriend nothing, like seems like a little wild. And she was like, well, what I meant was, and she said like four sentences, and Amanda said, maybe you should have said that.
America's next drag superstar is Nymphia Wynn. So
Woo.
excited. She said she is the first East Asian winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, and the president of Taiwan congratulated her.
I thought you were just saying she is the president of
She is the
Taiwan.
president of
And
Taiwan.
I was like, wow,
No,
that was fast.
she put on her story she put a screenshot of an Instagram comment and she was like, "Hi, hello, this is the president of Taiwan." That said this just now.
So cute.
I love that for her. And she got her crown from Sasha Colby, who's a native Hawaiian.
Yes, so cute.
Hmm. All right.
All right.
So we're gonna do Real Housewives of Potomac reunion. This is probably the most information we've gotten in one reunion. They've kind of been like one track minded. But so first, they asked Chris and Candace about the fact that a woman went to the media and claimed to have had an affair with Chris. But then the woman came back out and said she had made the whole thing up. So
Thank you,
Chris and
ma'am.
Candace are like, "Why are you asking us about this?" She says she made it up, and she did. She said there is no truth. They said that she's right. She did make it up. There's no truth to any rumors of an affair. And
That's
then
so
Rob,
wild. Like, and
which
I think
like,
about like Clayton, the Bachelor Clayton, and
yeah,
he's like so deep in this like legal stuff.
yeah,
And he says she knows I know that like we've
yeah.
talked, like she knows that it's not true, but it's like to go like not that you should ride it till the wheels come off, but like to say that and then just be like, I okay, no, I didn't.
I
I
lied.
was lying. Like I don't
The
know,
other
man.
day,
I kind of think you guys take that to the grave.
one of my kids came up to me. She had gotten a bad grade, so her parents had to sign it, and she handed me her paper. She said, "My dad couldn't find a pen, so he signed it in pencil." I said, "Oh, that's okay." And I looked at it. I said, "This is your dad's handwriting?" And she said, "Oh, no, I wrote it. But he was there." I said, "Oh, okay. I guess that's fine." And then she said, "Okay." She walked away and she came back and she said, "He wasn't there. I'll take it back and I'll make sure he signs it with a pen. I'm so sorry." I was like, "Girl,
You're like, I was really fine.
I was like, I'm like, she's one of my like best students. So like, she just sometimes she struggles with reading. So it was like, I think she was having trouble with the assignment, and also she had done it in a group when she wasn't supposed to. But she's like a really good kid. Like I wasn't gonna be like, "Okay, girl, come on, you gotta stop doing this." Like
Yeah.
she was like, "He wasn't there. I'm so sorry." I was like, "Girl."
I love the whole like I signed it for him, but he was there like he's like a notary. Like like
He was like, "Yeah, sweetheart, you can sign that for
go
me.
for
Go
it
for it."
with a pencil.
Also, it was like clearly her handwriting. It matched what was on like her name on the line. I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. Like being like, "Yeah, I did this." Well, no, I didn't. I'm
And
so
then
sorry.
within seconds it's eating you alive and you're like,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
She had not even sat back down. She like turned back around. Okay. But so then Robin chimes in and she's like, "Actually, I've seen the screenshots and I'm pretty sure that this woman did have an affair with your husband." And we talked about this last week
What?
that she said like, mhm.
Wild.
We talked about this last week where Robin had said like, "Oh, I've seen screenshots," and Candace was like, "They're photoshopped," and she was like, "Who's photoshopping limp dicks?"
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
Mm-hmm. I remember this now. My memory has been jogged.
that, that they got that. And she's like, "Well, was it brown?" And she's like, "Yes, it was." Like, and Candace was like, "Hmm, interesting." But yeah. So Robin's like, "No, I've seen the screenshots," and they kind of go back and forth for a while, and then it just kind of ends with like, "Well, she said it's not true. Why does it matter anymore?"
Yeah, that's fair.
Hmm.
Speaking of Robin and Candace, uh, other Bravo headline. Robin is not returning to Potomac next season. She says that she was fired. She would like that to be very clear. She's not pulling no Dorindas where she's like, I was put on pause. She said, no, I was fired.
Hmm.
Um, Candace is also not returning, but she and her husband, Chris, that same old limp dip,
Hmm.
Chris,
Hmm.
they're now having a baby, which is great. Awesome. Good for
Hmm.
them. Congrats. She
They've been working
does,
on that.
yeah, she does say that played into the decision for them to not return. Unclear, I guess. Like, did they decide not to return because she's having a baby?
Yeah.
Or, like, was
I
she
think
also fired?
I think that at this point, Candace has no relationships left on the show.
Yeah. So,
Like
what's the
there is
point?
just no one left that she gets along. And Robin, really, the only person left she gets along with is Giselle. Um, and I honestly think that Robin and Juan are just so messy that
Yeah.
they're like, you know what, never mind with this. So then they get into the feud between Wendy and NECA. When NECA joined the show this season, everyone was really hoping that Wendy would be a Nigerian Ibu sister duo.
Mhm.
They were like, yes, like they're the same. They're gonna love each other. They have so much
Mhm.
in common. Their husbands have so much in common. They're gonna have a great time. But it from the moment NECA was introduced, Wendy was not into it. She said that she felt like NECA was a name dropper and that NECA had like her ass off to get on the show just to become famous. Um, at the reunion, NECA said she was actually originally approached to be on Married to Medicine because her husband is a doctor. But since she had just moved to Potomac, she was instead invited to become a housewife. She said that the only reason she mentioned Wendy's name was because they said, "Oh, do you know Wendy?" And she said, "Yes, I know her."
I've never watched Married to Medicine. I don't know if you know, but like is it all in one city too? Or
I don't know
okay.
actually. Well, but I will say that they moved to Potomac from LA.
Okay.
They had moved from LA. Maybe it does all take place there.
Oh, maybe.
Um, but so Wendy is like, well, saying that we knew each other was false. That's not true. We didn't know each other. And Neko was like, no, we had met on several occasions. And Wendy's like, okay, yeah, we've met, but that doesn't mean we know each other.
They didn't say like, "Could you tell us her social security number?" They said, "Do you know this woman?"
She was like, she's like, just because we've met doesn't mean you really know me. And Andy was like, I think when we ask, oh, do
Uh-huh.
you know this person? We're meaning like, have you spoken to them before?
Yeah.
And like also they point out that I think it's like NECA's cousin or maybe I don't know. They're some of their like cousins or sisters or something are friends. And so like they've met each other at like family functions.
Yeah.
And Wendy's like, no, but you don't know me. You can't just be telling people that you know me. And she was like, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
Um, and Andy was like, okay, Wendy, get it together. Then this is where it gets really messy. They ask Ashley about her claim in the season that Wendy and her family were Osu. And so uh, they asked them like what does that mean? And NECA's husband says like this is very taboo and we shouldn't be talking about it. We're not going to tell you what it means because it's not appropriate as a part of our culture. So like I'm not going to try to explain it. I don't know what it means.
Mhm.
But basically they were saying like it should never have been brought up, especially by Ashley, who is not Nigerian
So
and
is it
doesn't know what it means.
like a slur? Like is it like just like an offensive thing
Um,
to say about someone? Or is it
they
something
did. Ashley tried to explain it on the show, and
uh-huh.
I think we have to take it with a grain of salt because
Right.
Ashley is not a part
Not
of the Nigerian
Nigerian.
culture. But
Yeah.
kind of said that it's more like the way that she explained it was like that she thought it was like a subculture
Okay.
that has very negative connotations
Okay.
to it and like negative like
So like
practices.
but like saying that someone is Osu is like offensive in and of
Yes,
itself. Like you would
it's
not want to
offensive
be
and it's
that.
a very big deal.
Okay.
It's like a heavy accusation, they said. So Wendy, like I'm not a big fan of Wendy right now, but this cracked me up. She turned to Ashley and put it to this platform. Why don't you tell us what it means? And Ashley is absolutely gagged.
Mhm.
She was like, she said, like basically, she's like, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know how serious an accusation it was. And Wendy's like, then why are you saying it? You shouldn't be saying it. And she's like, and you did know because you said, like, I know this is a bad thing when you brought it up. You said, like, I've heard that they're Osu and I know that's really bad, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, if you knew it was really bad, why did you say it? And it
Yeah.
wasn't even true. So that was a big like issue on the show, was like that accusation about Wendy and her family. And then another accusation that was brought up on the show that kind of like took that over was that NECA claimed that Wendy's mother had submitted her name to a shrine.
Her own name? Wendy's
Had
name.
submitted NECA's name.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So on the show, the way they explain this is another very serious accusation, with the implication being that Wendy's mother worships the devil, and that by submitting NECA's name to a shrine, she was cursing NECA.
Okay.
Wendy, throughout the season, denied this to be true. She was extremely hurt by these accusations, especially because her mother was ill throughout like pretty much the entire season. And at the time that these rumors were brought up, she was in the hospital. And Wendy was like very worried about her. It also hurt them a lot because Wendy has been very open on the show about her Catholic faith and her mother's Catholic faith, and the idea that that they've shared so much. They've shared her boy's first communion and her daughter's baptism on the show. For them to have shared so much about their Catholic faith. So it was also reported this week that Neko was fired from the show and will not return for season 9, which is sad because I liked her this season, but it is probably for the best given how sensitive the conversations about the show became surrounding NECA. Like, it's when Andy asked the question about like what is Osu, like why is that such a big deal? Like, for Ashley brought it up, he said like, I know that this is not like easy to talk about. I know this is very sensitive, and so like tell me if we're not going to answer it. Like, that's fine, kind of. Like, he's like, I know this is a very sensitive topic and one that we would never want to bring up on this show, but like we have to because it was a big part of the season. And so I feel like anything where Andy's having to like preface that much about the sensitivity of something is probably something they don't want to deal with anymore,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
which
but
is fair.
Ashley is still gonna be there
Right.
saying a bunch of shit. But okay. All right, friends. We're
Yay.
gonna we're gonna get into Torture Poets and then we'll close out as usual with Vanderpump stuff.
Yay.
Um obviously this time around we cannot do like a track list review. Because she said, "Fine, fine. You've been asking for a double album. Here, you have 31 songs to get through."
Mm-hmm.
So,
I woke up I woke up at like 2:30 on Friday morning, and I like rolled over in bed and I was like, Sammy, Sammy, Sammy. And he was like, what? And I said, it's 2 albums. And he said, okay, please go to sleep.
mhm,
I was too excited.
yeah. Um, so it was overwhelming, the amount of words, the amount of songs to get through. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that reading the prologue or summary poem, as she
Mm-hmm.
called it this time, clarified a lot for me. I
Mm-hmm.
think that at times, like, the lyrics feel a little, like, disjointed or random.
Saw the title and thought about the most recent biggest breakup and the titles songs were like, oh, like Tortured Poets, like she's like a sad girl. Like,
Yeah,
this is gonna be like her like sad breakup album. And I think instead of that, we have to equate tortured with like someone who's gone mad,
yeah,
kind of. And like, I love, for this reason, I love like the just stream of consciousness lyrics. Like, she is just literally spilling everything out, no matter what it is. In this manic episode, it feels like she's having like delusions of grandeur. Like, just I feel like people are saying that it's just so like like people keep saying it needed to be edited
yes,
by somebody, and like I feel like there was a point.
yes.
to the way that it is written.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's because she is a mastermind, and like everything is symbolic and
Right.
everything has a meaning beyond just like these things have a meaning. And
Yeah.
she said in the Eras tour, she said this is like the this is an album that she needed to write more than any of her other albums, and that like this album is like one of her proudest works. It's one that means the most to her. Jack said it's his favorite thing they've ever worked on together, and like knowing that she's saying like I needed this
Mhm.
to get all of my feelings out more than anything, I feel like that's why it's unedited. Like she's like I have to get this out of me.
She word vomited
I
it.
have to get it out. I have to put it down on paper. And then she did, and she was like, okay, I feel so much better. And
Mhm.
like I think that we need to feel that. And somebody said like this album is not made for public consumption. It's made for fan consumption.
In the
Mhm.
end of Hits Different,
Mhm.
she says, like, "Is that you at the door?" Or trying to take me away. And then she starts Fortnite with I was supposed to be
Mhm.
sent away, but they forgot to come and get me. And so
Mhm.
like all of this is like asylum based and all of this is
Yeah.
like I'm really in my like unwell era.
Mhm.
um so other major takeaways is people feel um I don't know. I guess people have different major takeaways, but some things I've seen is that some people feel that this confirmed that Joe cheated on her. Other people feel bad for Joe and feel like, oh, we shouldn't have been bullying him because Taylor basically admitted that she dumped him because of his depression. Um, Hard disagree. And
Yeah.
then obviously guilty as sin, cheated. I want to kill him as like reference to having cheated or um he thinks about her in dream or like he's with her in his dreams. So like there just seem to be like
Yeah.
notes of Joe cheating. And then videos are making their way around of Joe shooting a sex scene in what I assume is a movie in which he moans his co-star's real name, not her character's name, leading many people to believe that he was having an affair with her.
That's gross. Also embarrassing. Like
Yeah.
Taylor has referenced her own depression in songs on this new album and in Midnight's even. And so like I think that you have to like understand that there's just more to it than that, and like
Yeah.
it's it's not like it's just like oh well he's depressed now and so like no never mind, but
Mhm.
like depression affects everybody differently, and if you are not in the mental health headspace to be around someone else who is struggling with depression, then like that's fair.
Yeah, and I also think like you have to think about how that affects you over 6 years that like
Right.
she says like I can never give you peace. And like
Yeah.
I think that like how long did she try to like
Right.
be good for Joe and like help him and like you know, and it
Yeah.
just like isn't working. And maybe
And
it's less
also,
about him, like less about like I just dumped him because he couldn't get over his depression and more like I couldn't give him what he needed. Like I was no longer like we were not like good for each other. Like it was not
right.
helping him, like he was not helping me. And then obviously there's the pieces that are like saltier, which is like if he cheated and
Yeah.
if she wanted to be with someone else and like, you know.
Yeah. Also, like thinking about like the way that he spoke about her or avoided speaking about her when it was brought up, and like people have always pointed out that it seems like he's like jealous maybe, or like has trouble dealing with the fact that he's dating someone who is so much more famous than him while he's like struggling in his industry. Like if that has something to do with his depression, like struggling in his work, then yeah, dating the biggest superstar on the planet is no longer good for him, and it's not good for her to constantly feel like stifled and like pulled down by somebody when your like career is bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah. Lots of people, including myself, were disappointed to hear how much of the album is about Maddie Healy. But again, I think that prologue and then like hints throughout the songs show that like she recognizes that this relationship was not what she thought, that like basically this is like the Delulu-ness that like she really thought like this was it, and this that
Mhm.
like makes the heartbreak still real and like something she can sing about, but like I don't think she's like standing by in April 2024 like Maddie Healy's a great guy. So I think it's okay. I think also that like going from the 6-year relationship that she was obviously like mourning while it was still happening,
Mhm.
um, into this one with Maddie Healy that she seemed to think was like the saving grace, was going to be like the end all be all, was like this was it, like this is going to make all of this worth it, and then like the emotional overlap of that, I
Mhm.
think that like that just makes a double-sized heartbreak. And like a lot of
Yeah.
people were saying like I don't know that she really like felt the Joe heartbreak until the Maddie heartbreak.
Yeah. I agree. And I think in light of like the possibility that they had an on and off thing for 10 years, or like they had like, when this doesn't work out it'll be you thing for 10 years, I think it's fair that like there's this relationship that you've built up for so long as being the person you'll end up with, and then they turn out kind of to suck like that.
Mhm.
I can see that how that's a little more painful than this long-term relationship that you have been watching die for so long.
Right.
And I think like last time we talked about Maddie Healy, we talked about how people were like, "Oh, but like it's so relatable to like date somebody that people don't like." And you, I think, made a great point about like dating a known racist is like the least relatable thing Taylor Swift has ever done.
Yeah. I
I
wish y'all
do
could be
think,
on me and Mary's private phone calls.
yeah,
I make all these great points.
I do think that it's relatable to have over romanticized someone,
Mhm.
like to be dating someone that no one wants you with, to be more hurt by a rebound, all of that.
To think you can
But
fix a man.
right. But I'm glad that she can recognize it now as like madness, and like how desperately she wanted to be with him when at 34 years old you can't be dating people like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the feeling that she sings about when she says like my good name is mine alone to disgrace,
Mhm.
like there's recognition that like that's what was happening
Yeah.
if she dated Maddie Healy, but I think that like she's saying like in my delusion like it was worth it, like it was
That
gonna
is how
be,
I felt
it
right
is
then.
going to be like I
Mhm.
thought like y'all are gonna y'all are gonna like regret this, you're gonna look back and we're gonna be married and like it's not gonna matter anymore, and like I'm gonna have fixed him, and like she had all these ideas of like what it could be.
Mhm.
And obviously like we don't know why they broke up, but like throughout the album it seems that he just kind of like ghosted. um but like how much of that for him was like I can't deal with your fucking fans, and then
Yeah.
it's like did a little bit of her like blame the fans, like you took this from me, like he can't be with me because of this. um and like that, there's also then you like live in like the what if of like, man, if my fans just hadn't gotten in the way, man, if I wasn't famous, like this is my guy. But like if he wasn't saying things in public or I wasn't a public figure, we could have made this work, and I think that's sad.
Yeah. And I think even in those songs where she's like, I don't care what y'all think of him,
Yeah.
it feels like even those songs end with like, oh well shit. Like
Mhm.
that didn't work out how I thought it was going to. And like,
Yeah.
and I think like that's the thing, is that people are like, oh, like she thinks like so highly of him, like based on these songs, like she's telling us to mind our own business. Like that's how she felt in that moment.
Yeah.
That's not how she feels now that the album is released. Like it's a song about a feeling when it was happening to her. And
Right.
like Yeah, and I think I saw like his response to the album on TikTok, and basically it was like people were really worried about him because he's in like a much better place mentally than he has been in so long, and like has not been under so much public scrutiny lately apparently, and that people he thought that this was going to like ruin his life. And he said that he's like very grateful for like how their relationship was portrayed, and that it was very like truthful to how their relationship felt, that it was like a very real relationship even though it was short, and like
Who,
that.
Maddie, is saying
Yeah,
this?
yes.
Okay.
And then but then somebody put like,
It is true that I am a
when
drug addict.
yes, when the album was announced, that he at one of his shows had said, like, he had gone on this, like, rant. He was like, "Don't fuck with me. If you wanna say things about me, I have receipts." And, like, basically, like, he wasn't, like, directing it at anyone by name, but basically, like, people were saying, like, he's saying, "If this Taylor Swift album is about me and it's bad, like, she's gonna have to watch her back." And now he's like, "No, I think it's great." And, like, he said that she did, like, run a lot of the songs by him before they were released.
Nuh-uh.
Is what he said.
Where is he saying this?
It was in an article somebody was reading on, TikTok.
I don't know, I had seen that, like, his aunt had said something,
Yeah,
but I hadn't seen anything from him, but I yeah, I mean, that's, like, good to be able to say, like, even though everyone else thinks you're, like, being wrecked, like, "Oh, well, most of it was true, like, she didn't lie on me," you know? I guess
yeah,
that's, like, good self-awareness.
yeah. I can't find it now, but that's what
That's
I
okay.
read.
That's okay.
Um, Also, he's in a new relationship, so I think
Yeah,
that, like, that helps
with an
for sure.
internet starlet.
Mhm. My favorites currently are "Down Bad," "But Daddy I Love Him," "Who's Afraid of Little Ol' Me," "I'm Gonna Get You Back," "Thank You Amy," and "I Can Do It With a Broken Heart."
Yeah,
I also like "I Fix Him, No Really I Can."
yeah, I when I saw yours, I was like, "Damn," like, I don't know if I'm ready to pick ones that are, like, my current favorites yet. There's still just so much. So, I guess just, like, ones that stood out to me, and this will probably totally change, is "Down Bad, But Daddy I Love Him," "I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can," "Fresh Out the Slammer," "The Black Dog," and surprisingly, I've been vibing with Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, which when I first saw it, I was like, "Taylor, no. Like, this is too much. Too
Too
long."
many names.
Stressed. But I like it.
Um, I also, if you're on TikTok, I am loving the song breakdowns by Nia Esperanza. If you have not seen her videos yet, please do. They are so like insightful about the songs, and like this is like her opinion, of course, but
Mhm.
like she just explains everything so well, and like that's where I'm getting a lot of my understanding from the songs. The one I'm having trouble with understanding,
Mhm.
but I really like those. Some songs are like I was like listening, I was like, "Oh, yeah, like I know who that's about." So like songs about Kim Ye would be "Thank You Amy" and "Cassandra." Cassandra is a character in Greek mythology. She's an oracle who is cursed to always tell the truth, but no one ever believes her. Which
Yep.
Taylor Swift tried to warn us that Kanye
Mhm.
West was a bad person, and now all these people are like, "Oh, Kanye West is like an anti-Semite. No one should listen to
Ooh.
him." And she's like, "It's almost as if I told you he sucked."
Yep.
Um, Songs about Travis are "So High School" and "The Alchemy," obviously. I also think that the end of "But Daddy I Love Him" is about Travis, and I think that the end of "Clara Bow" is about Travis. There was a theory that the first verse is about Joe because Clara Bow was an it girl who left it all to get married to a man who stifled her. I think people, so they said that the middle verse is about Maddie because Stevie Nicks represents a time of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and like that's the lifestyle he wanted, and that's the lifestyle Taylor would have had to go for if she wanted to be with him because he loved her, but he loved drugs more. And then the last verse is about Travis because Taylor Swift finally gets to be herself around him.
Mhm.
Like, how cute.
Cute. Yeah, I like get the theory that like But Daddy I Love Him ends about Travis and like how
Hmm.
she ended up with someone her parents do like and whatever. Personally, I think it feels more like that's just how she idealized that relationship to
Yeah.
end, that like in the end her parents would like him and in the end she would get married and y'all aren't invited to the wedding and like y'all were all wrong about him. Um so like I'm fine with either. Personally for me, I just think it's like, see, like I was gonna fix him or like it was gonna be
Hmm.
perfect and like y'all were all gonna
Yeah,
shame on you, be wrong.
I think that makes sense. Songs that I felt like right off the bat were about Joe were So Long London, obviously. Um, LOML.
Fight us on that. I dare you.
Um, which is both Love of My Life and Loss of My Life. My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, The Albatross, The Bolter, I'm Gonna Get You Back, I Look in People's Windows, The Prophecy, Florida, and How Did It End? I will say I also saw a theory on the albatross that um somebody who has like a degree in poetry was like explaining it.
Since you got your degree and you know every
She
fucking
was
thing.
she was saying that the albatross is about Taylor
Mhm.
and that it's from the point of view of all of her ex-boyfriends and that they're warning Travis about her.
Ah,
I was like, okay,
fair.
I like that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I think The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived is about Maddie.
Hmm.
Um, so I think the most like obvious to me is that he wears a Jehovah's Witness looking suit. Um,
Hmm.
this is what this man does. Um, I the whole like rusting her sparkling summer timeline to me like better matches with him.
Hmm.
However, like I understand that like both heartbreaks like would have affected her on tour.
Hmm.
So fair. The mention of buying pills and drugs, which could have been a metaphor, but feels like a parallel to all the other drug mentions for Maddie.
Hmm.
And then she says, "Were you sent by someone who wanted me dead?" I think, which like indicates like you were gonna take my reputation down with you. Like was this just like something to trick me into fucking up, I guess.
Hmm.
She mentioned stage lights and performing. And then also my favorite is that she's just a very direct girly and he is 5'5".
Hmm.
So he's small.
Um, I felt like the sparkling summer line. I was like, oh, like that's a nod to Cruel Summer
Oh, sure.
and like Lover.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find. I was trying to figure out which of the songs had the piano from um Exile
Mhm.
last night, and so I was listening back to like a lot of them, and I was like listening back to The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, and I was like, oh, well, maybe this is not about Joe.
Yeah.
I also think it could be about either one.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
Yeah, some people also say that I'm Gonna Get You Back is about Maddie and not
Mhm.
Joe. I think that's one of those ones that I'm like, yeah, it could be either. Like she's saying like, I know you still want me. Um, and but I think the line that makes me think Maddie is she says, even if it's handcuffed, I'm leaving here with you, which seems to
Mhm.
mirror like the Fortnite lyrics.
Mhm.
Um, and then like the Fresh Out the Slammer lyrics, like you're the
Mhm.
first person I'm gonna call. Um, when I get out of the slammer,
Yeah.
I'm free.
I what was I gonna say about I'm gonna get you back being about show? Oh, I for some reason in my brain, I was like the part where she's like, "I'm gonna smash up your bike." I like immediately thought of the scooter
Yeah.
picture. I was like,
She's gonna smash up his scooter.
I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
she's talking about Joe's scooter."
Yeah. Riding on my scooter. Um, Also, some people think that this is actually about her brief rumored romance fling, whatever, before Travis, so between Maddie and Travis, with Spanish racing driver Fernando Alonso because of the Aston Martin line, and he drives an Aston Martin.
It'd be pretty wild if she was like, "I might be your wife,"
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think
for
we're
this guy
reaching
we don't know about.
here.
My favorite thing about the Joe songs is how they match up with the old songs about him. Like lyrically, of course, there are, I mean,
Mhm.
this album is riddled with references to her other songs, but
Yeah.
like how they line up like musically.
Mhm.
So I look in people's windows, like very closely matches the beat of Cornelia Street. Um, and I think Death by a Thousand Cuts.
I look in the windows of his love,
Yes.
even though I put him
Yes.
up.
And it's just so good. And then So Long London matches up with Call It What You Want as far as the beat. And it matches up with You're Losing Me because in You're Losing
Mhm.
Me, there's a heartbeat throughout the whole song and
Yep.
it stops at the word die. And in So Long London, it's not a heartbeat, but there's like a continuous pulse in the song that stops at the word die. And
Mm.
then How Did It End has, so as we know, William Bowery helped write Exile, which is Joe Alwyn. And there she explained that like he kind of like came up with the song and she was like, let's keep working on this. Like I want this song. This is great. And that there's a piano piece in the song that is kind of what started it, that like he wrote
Mm.
himself, and that piano piece is in How Did It End? So good.
Yeah.
I love her brain.
Yeah.
Um the songs that I felt were clearly about Maddie were Fortnite, the Tortured Poets Department. Somebody said somebody said that they were listening to the Tortured Poets Department and their husband came in and said, "I guess that song's not about Travis."
Yeah. No.
Uh
Mm-mm.
Clearly. It was never going to be.
Mm-mm.
Down Bad, But Daddy I Love Him, Fresh Out the Slammer, Guilty as Sin, I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can, The Black Dog, Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, and Peter.
Mhm.
I know we love the theory of Peter being about Joe because of Peter losing Wendy, blah blah blah, and that like Cardigan is actually where Taylor is Betty, Joe is James, and this uh co-star is Augustine, and Jack is Inez. Um,
Mhm.
and but like I think some people have pointed out that they wonder if um the like Peter losing Wendy line is about this love that she like thought she was gonna have from when she was young, and that she had to walk away from it and blah blah, and that makes Peter about Maddie Healy
Yeah.
because she cared about him for such a long time, even when she was younger. She thought he was gonna wait for her, and then it just didn't work out. Um, I also
Yeah.
saw someone say that they want it to be about like um younger siblings looking up to their older siblings, which is cute, but Taylor Swift doesn't have an older sibling, so
No, but it could be about being the older sibling, I guess. I don't
yeah.
know. I get like I don't know. I get it that it is maybe probably about Maddie, and like I get the kind of obvious like you said you were gonna like wait for or like I was like
Yeah.
waiting for you to like grow up or whatever. Um I also to me am like I feel like a Peter Pan syndrome-esque
Mhm,
song is like totally like a good option to be about Joe too, that like
mhm,
you basically like I thought you were gonna grow up and marry me. I mean, I think it's
right.
like you were gonna grow up and come find me feels more like Maddie, right? Because like he would need to
Mhm.
like come find her. But like metaphorically, like it could just be like I thought like you were gonna grow up and we were gonna like actually do this and
Right.
we didn't. Um and I think people want the Peter Pan reference to be related to Joe's picture of himself as a kid in the Peter Pan costume. Um but yeah, I mean I get both either uh and I do think the problem when we reflected on her old lyrics is that like in those times like we did not know that anything had the option to be about Maddie Healy.
Mhm.
So it's like, of course, I'm like, no, it's obviously about Joe because there was already lyrics about Peter and Wendy, and like she
Yeah.
wasn't with Maddie then, so it has to be about Joe. But it's like it she could just be using similar tropes, or B, like it could Peter and Wendy could have been her and Maddie all along. And like, you know, that's wild.
Yep. Um, then there's some songs that are just kind of like not really about anyone in particular. Who's Afraid of Little Ol' Me is like really about public perception of her. Um, it is very Ariana Madix coded, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. Like I want to see someone who does the little edits on TikTok put together all the clips of Ariana this season to that song because I feel it for her. I Can Do It With a Broken Heart is about like doing her job after two breakups. Um, and like being miserable and nobody can tell because she's really good at her job. I Hate It Here. I feel like it's kind of about the same thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm just not in a good mood and I'm not gonna be no matter what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um Robin, I don't know what
I
that's
have no
about other
clue.
than like just childhood,
I,
I suppose. Um the manuscript is people have decided is about either John Mayer or Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah, it's just got to be about like someone she dated when she was
Yeah,
older.
younger.
When they were older than her, yes. Someone with
Yeah.
an age gap.
Um
Yeah.
I feel like I could see John Mayer saying, "If the sex is as good as the conversation, we're gonna be pushing strollers soon." More than I could see Jake Gyllenhaal saying it.
Yeah.
And also, what an icky fucking thing to say to a
Yeah.
teenage girl.
I also to me it feels more like John Mayer not because when you're 21 you're not still young
Yeah,
but when she's like I eat kids cereal and sleep in my mom's
yeah,
bed like that seems more in line with
yeah.
like 19 than 21.
And I think like the sleeping in my mom's bed thing reminds me of like would have, could have, should have. Like the idea that she was like haunted, like
Mhm.
she was like so like emotionally like hadn't having nightmares about their
Yeah.
relationship. You know.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Also, I feel like yeah, a relationship you had with a grown ass man at 19 might be a little triggering for longer
Yeah.
than one when you were 21.
Yeah.
Now,
And if we're right about would have could have should have then like this
right.
is um like a first in your life and like that's
Mhm.
going to stick with you and
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah. And like I think that I think in hindsight, like I think in hindsight we're like, okay, Jake Gyllenhaal was kind of gross. But I think like in hindsight with John Mayer, we're like, oh, this man's a predator.
right.
Like
Right.
that was predatory.
She was like freshly 19.
Right.
It seems this is the first person she had sex with. She's haunted by it. Like I think it's like makes sense that she would be like back in her mom's bed like, what
Yeah.
have I done?" Like, you
Yeah.
know.
Now here are my questions, my wonderings about the album. First, I've only heard one person do this comparison online so far, but I need to know if I'm gonna get you back is also a little bit of a jab at Olivia Rodrigo, like for stealing Taylor's music and then hating her for suing. Like Taylor's like, oh, I could also do that
Yeah.
and just not steal and like I won't get in trouble because it's just the content is the same.
Yeah.
Um, but then I also wonder because it's like a 2-year-old song. I don't know. Um,
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
or was written in the past 2
When
years.
you Google it, that it does come up. Like, I mean, people are questioning that, like how similar it is. So
Yes,
I don't know.
that's my question. I want to know. Um, People also were saying that Kim K probably knew about "Thank You, Amy" before it came out. Um,
Well, if she fucking gave the songs to Maddie Healy,
somebody said, somebody said,
she
"Have
called
y'all
and
not?"
said,
She
"There's
said,
a
"Have
song."
y'all not heard the phone call where Kim approved "Thank You, Amy"?"
Yeah.
Um, Also, people are saying that Taylor took it too far and "Thank You, Amy" by mentioning Kim's kids. All she said was that they were gonna like this catchy song.
Also, like, anyone, like, what? She's just like,
But
okay.
the biggest theory is that the KIM and "Thank You, Amy" are a red herring and that this song is actually about Carly Kloss. Somebody said that the reason for this is that Carly Kloss is the one who encouraged Scooter Braun to purchase all of the masters of Taylor's songs before Taylor could do it, and
Hmm.
that Taylor's aware of that,
Hmm.
and that that's why they're not friends anymore.
Interesting.
Um, and people are, and in the line in the song where she's like, "I've changed your name and all identifying features just for her to capitalize the name in the title," people are like,
Right.
why would you do that? I think it could be because it's ironic and it's funny.
Yeah, I think it's
I
because
think
it's
it's
funny.
funny as hell.
Yeah.
Sammy was like, I don't think she should have said that because I feel like it was pretty identifying. I said that's why it's funny.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I do think it's about Kim Kardashian. I mean, it fits her pretty well. Um, okay, about the album as a whole. People are like, people keep saying like, well, if you've never been in a 6-year relationship, then you don't understand, like, you would not want to disparage that person and like humiliate them and disrespect them. And I was like, I maybe I would, actually. I love Taylor Swift, but she
Yeah.
can be a petty bitch.
That does not seem like the qualm that she has.
Right. And so, is it possible that it's even more hurtful to be for months thinking there's about to be a whole fucking album about me.
Mhm.
Oh my god, like I'm about to go through the ringer and you're losing your mind about it, and then it comes out and it's almost at least equally about the rebound guy.
Mhm.
In addition to the fact that that's how their relationship started, that there was going to be this big album about Calvin Harris and Kanye West and like all these people, and then it's mostly just about Joe and how awesome
Mhm.
he is.
Mhm.
Did Joe dodge a bullet
Mhm.
by not having the album mostly be about him? Or is it because there's already an album about Joe and Midnight's is actually the breakup album?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Midnight's was probably pretty painful for Joe.
Mhm.
Um, I stand by, like, it is not a breakup album because it is,
Yeah.
like, about the relationship, like, slowly dying, but while you're still in it.
Yes.
Um, but I think that was probably maybe enough, like, writing for her about that
Mhm.
relationship, that, like, that she did do a lot of, like, breaking that relationship down in Midnight's. But I stand by that, like, I said this to you on the phone, that, like, to me, like, it's not like this album is, like, without shade to Joe. Like,
Right.
the title is still has to be about that group message.
Yes.
There are certain lines in it, like, "You don't get to tell me about sad." People think, like, that's about a video where
Mhm.
he seems to have said that. I think publishing the 5 playlists of grief with songs that used to be about your great love in the
Mhm.
denial section, I think just, like, a lot of the things surrounding the album are shade to Joe,
Yeah.
even if the a
The
lot of the
Spotify
songs
pop up.
aren't. Right. Now, like, I think that that probably hurt him or, like, freaked him out enough that, like, that
Mhm.
feels good for her, But I guess to your question, like, I don't know if, like, the point for her was, like, I'm just gonna fuck with him and, like, scare him, and then, haha, it's not even gonna be about him, and he's gonna realize, like, he's not even that important, or if, like, this she just had written these songs, a lot of them were about Maddie, but then she was like, "Wait a second, like, I can do all of it." Like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what order the things happened in, what her intention was, but I feel like Joe got the message
Yeah. I
anyway.
also think I also think it would be pretty hurtful, like going back to Midnight's, to know that these songs are about your relationship dying when no one knows
Mhm.
that y'all have broken up or are breaking up. Like
Mhm.
that
And
that's
if they
gotta
were,
be
like, still
yeah,
together, because like,
right.
Midnight's comes out in November, and, like, it had already been written, and then or yeah, and then they don't officially announce until April, like, I assume that while those songs were being written, they were at least somewhat still
Right.
together, so, like, how much more does that hurt? Yeah, to hear these
Yeah.
songs and be like, "Uh,
Right.
this is
My
miserable for you?"
right. My last question is, as horribly cringy as the alchemy is it kind of cute that Taylor loves Travis enough to release the cheesiest song in history and her worst to date, according to Billy, about him? Is that proof, further proof, that she just feels so high school? She can't
Yeah,
help herself. She said, I love this man so much. This song is god awful, and I'm going to put it on this album so that he knows I love him.
yeah.
That's kind of cute.
And people love The Alchemy. It's
I
like
love it. I
kind
just
of
love how
vibey,
funny it is.
like the music, but then I'm like, the word touchdown like hits me, and I'm like, no. Um, but
It's the
I
word touchdown followed by the word team followed by on the bench. Like it just that
league
over and over. Like
trophy,
I'm like, okay, we get it.
yeah.
He plays
But
football.
yeah, I think it is. I think it's cuteness. And I think it's like kind of that maybe she in real life was like out of her manic episode, but like to follow the album, like I think it's more like stream of consciousness, just like but like happy version. Like it's
Mhm.
like still kind of word salady
Mhm.
and like trivial details, but it's like, oh shoot, like things are looking up. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is so fun.
Somebody said she heard Travie made it to the big game and she giggled. She said, "I did write a song like that."
Yeah. Oh,
Y'all are
it
gonna hate
it
it.
kind of got leaked. Uh, all right. Well, let us know your favorites.
Yeah.
And if you disagree with any of our takes, if you have other theories. On to Vanderpump stuff.
Mhm.
So people are noticing and commenting on the fact that Ariana and Sheena do not seem to be at Coachella together at all, at any
Good.
events, at anything. So which again, like I
I
do feel like it's pretty obvious when Sheena said like y'all are gonna get Lala's hatred
yeah.
toward Ariana from the
I
reunion.
hope to God that they are not friends anymore.
Yeah, yeah. James Kennedy got to play at Coachella at the Neon Carnival, so go him. And
Mhm.
how cool Taylor Swift is listening and dancing along. So like what a come up for
Yes.
Jamesy.
Her face during his Cruel Summer remix cracked me up though. She, she was like singing, she's singing her own song, and then she said, "What's up?"
What
It
the
was
heck?
so funny.
I actually loved Lala's sperm donor party. So cute. And then this episode is going to show Ariana being a supportive friend that we know her to be to Lala and to Sheena, and seemingly in some instances them doing the same thing back, except not in their confessionals. Um, which is just like it's painful. It's painful to watch her be good to these people.
Right.
Ariana and Lala are part of Sheena's Good as Gold emo version music video. It seems in part of this that Sheena is looking out for Ariana. She said she realizes that Ariana's home being super messy, like to the point that she doesn't want people over, could be a sign that she's not doing well. Um, Billy, our resident Sheena hater. Not that we're not all, but really number one. Like, you could not hate Sheena more.
Mhm.
He was like, "What the fuck? Like, mind your own business." And I was like, I will say, like, for any other person who is a good friend, I would say, like, noticing your friend's depression room, or like noticing, like, oh, you're not getting out of bed like you used to, or like, oh,
Mhm.
you're not caring about things like you used to. Like, I think that's a good thing. I think
Yeah.
that, like, good for her for like noticing that. Uh, However, Sheena has not proven to be a good friend to Ariana
Right.
in every other way. And also, like, in this instance, like, the mess in her house is like 50% not up to her.
Right.
So, and I also
And
was
she
like
even
so
says this
scared.
is what happened when Anne left.
Right, and I was, like, so scared when Ariana was like, "I don't touch things on that table that are not mine," and Sheena's just, like, taking them upstairs, and I'm like, "Is he gonna, like, sue her? Like, is he gonna come home and be like, 'Ariana touched my stuff?'
Right.
Like, sh does she need to, like, send a text to somebody now and say, like, 'Just FYI, like, Sheena is touching Tom's things, it is not me.'" Like,
Yeah.
I was so scared.
Yeah.
Ariana is so happy for Lala at her sperm donor party.
Yeah. The way that Ariana is the one cheering for her the loudest at that
Mhm.
party, and Lala just like simply will not ride for her in any
Yeah.
way. Like I was when it, like I was like watching like her be like the happiest one there, and I was like pissed. I was like,
Mhm.
this girl don't give a fuck about you.
And Ariana's basically saying as she's reading the profiles, like, "I need more passion, more passion." She's like, "I wish there was, like, more love behind these words for the person
Yeah.
whose sperm you're gonna pick." She's, like, really, like, yeah,
She's so
writing for
into it.
her. I was hopeful that the fight between Sandoval and James would show him that Ariana was right and that he would
Mhm.
regret trying to befriend him again. But then they forgave each other very quickly because James is apparently trying to be the bigger person, which, like, I'm over. I'm over it. I am a little confused about what's going on with Pump and Tom Tom.
I don't remember anything except them being except like the Tom Tom introduced brunch.
Yeah, so they were at Tom Tom for the brunch, and they were like asking the Toms, like, how do you feel that it's basically like shared with Pump? And then they like flashed to, like, they had both the signs up next to each other, like it said like Pump and then it said Tom Tom, like right next to each other.
Hmm.
And then people were just like, "So funny you didn't get a brunch until you're Pump and Tom Tom," or like, "Am I at Pump or am I at Tom Tom?" Like, people kept saying that, and I was like, Lisa just like throw the Pump sign up? And like, also
Yeah.
that's like weird. Like, I'm so confused, but
Was that
maybe
before or after she announced Pump was closing? It would have to been after, I think.
after Pump was closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Pump is closed at this
Yeah.
point and in the show, and so I think, I don't know, like, if she just was like, "Oh, we have this leftover sign," but, like, surely
Yeah.
Lisa understands that, like, that's not a great, like, business idea, that, like, that, like, is confusing.
Yeah.
But whatever. Um, it was so sad to see how upset Katie is, like, in the show by hearing that Lala is, like, speaking even, like, somewhat poorly about her, or that Lala feels like they aren't that close anymore. Like, Katie
Mhm.
seemed, like, heartbroken in that conversation, but
Mhm.
then, like, to know where they are now and to know that, like, whatever Katie was feeling about it then, like, she has to be completely over it
Yeah.
because Lala is tearing into her,
And
like,
here's the
just
thing.
made me so sad.
The the fact that Lala was so pissed at Allie for saying that she said Katie was miserable when she didn't, and she said like that's not what I said. Like
Unhappy.
I said like I can tell my friend is unhappy and I'm worried about her. For her to know how that hurt and bothered Katie, and then to go on Instagram a week ago
And she's been
and say
using the
like
word
this is
miserable
a
ever
miserable
since.
person. Yes,
Yeah.
like she's doing it to hurt her.
Yeah.
That's
And,
fucked
like,
up.
yeah, and I think it goes back to the whole, like, Lala trying to make good TV now. Like, I think she's like, he, like, I'm gonna use this word, like, this
Yeah.
word that that started on the show. Like, yeah, she said it every single week on her podcast. She said it on other podcasts. She said it on Watch What Happens Live. She
Mhm.
said it on Instagram. I'm sure she'll say it in the reunion. And maybe that's where it starts in the reunion, as she says, like, actually, now I do think you're miserable, or like
Yep.
something. But I must say that both this Vanderpump Rules episode and the Valley felt pretty heavy.
Mhm.
I felt sad for a lot of people, and now it's time to feel sad for Brittany on the
Mhm.
Valley. First we'll make fun of Kristen though. Kristen Doty says it is so hard to be an empath,
Mhm.
but thank you, Bravo, for throwing in the Kristen Doty montage.
Mhm. Suck a dick.
It was hilarious on Watch What Happens Live. They had people vote, like with her on the show,
Yeah.
like, do you think Kristen is an empath? And she was like, yes. And it's like 99% no. And she's like, y'all just don't know me. Like, it's crazy. Okay, girly.
I think
Um,
she thinks because she has like hippie vibes that makes her an empath.
yeah, I also think like there's gotta be some difference between like feeling what people feel or understanding what people feel, but like not caring enough to like change your behavior. Like if Kristen is an empath where she truly feels what people feel, then like she's also savage as fuck because she still just like makes them feel that she's just like, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna make you feel like shit. Oh, I feel it. I'm the empath. I feel your shit feeling, but I'm gonna keep doing it. Like it's like the empath does
Maybe
not make
that's
you
why it's so hard
nicer.
for her.
Yeah.
That's why it's so hard for her.
Yeah. Michelle is so real for talking about wanting to leave Jesse. I think like it's so obviously so ironic to hear Brittany saying to her like, "Oh my god, like if Jax is still my best friend," and you're like, "Okay." Um, but yeah, I mean she basically is like, "No, like I haven't felt that way about him in
Yeah.
years." Back at the boys' pool party, though, we are finding out that Michelle hangs out with a very famous director who we are apparently not allowed to name
Mhm.
for long periods of time,
Mhm.
like days,
Yeah.
overnights.
People are speculating that this affair is what Kristen keeps hinting at.
Yeah,
And in real time, Michelle has posted that she is like seriously dating someone, but she will not tell us who it is, just that he is a great man and she's very happy. So I'm wondering
yeah,
if because we're still not saying who it is, if it's the same person. And
yeah,
please don't let it be Randall Emmett.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that based on the previews for the season, that seems like what Kristen's thing must be.
Yeah.
Like we were getting like you came for my marriage, like that, whatever. And on Watch What Happens Live, when Andy asked her like, "What are you protecting Michelle from?" She was like, "You'll see it on the season." So
Hmm.
awesome. Jesse seems to believe that Michelle's relationship with this director is all for like networking purposes. That like to be a good real estate agent, I guess, like you gotta be friends with wealthy people, which is
Hmm.
fair, I guess. Luke and Jax seem to believe, but really they seem to know something different. They seem to have some information,
Hmm.
especially when Jesse says that if Michelle did ever cheat on him, he would absolutely not be able to come back from it and they would not be together. They were like, oh, interesting that you say that, Jesse. We
So
also
sorry
find
about the end of
out,
your marriage.
yeah, the other indicator of the end of their marriage is that Michelle does not poop in front of her husband
Hmm.
ever. That's wild. Or even in like the same hotel room. It's like nuts.
Hmm.
On Watch What Happens Live, Kristen and Tom Schwartz were there. They both said that they do not think Brittany and Jax will be getting back together for good. And they seem to be right, as now Brittany has unfollowed Jax and their publicist.
Hmm. The publicist in question, you have all seen her at Lori K Publications. She
Hmm.
is like everyone's publicist in reality TV, Bachelor, Bravo, everybody. Apparently, she and Jax are on a trip together right now, and it is not their first trip
Nope.
together. People are saying that a rumor has gotten back to Brittany that Lori and Jax have hooked up on one or all of these trips. And that's why she has unfollowed both of them, and I'm sure has fired her publicist.
Yeah. Yeah. Also on Watch What Happens Live, Andy seems to agree that most people do not poop in front of their partners. And I'm just like, what this is wild. Like I wish he
You
would have
poop in front of everybody, though.
that's true. But I like wish he would have specified when he said like partners, because I'm like, I don't really think that people with like 5-month long boyfriends should be like voting on this. Like the
Yeah,
question is like when I have had someone's baby and I have been with them and I'm married to them for like 3 or 4 years,
yeah,
I'm still not even shit. Like I am going down to the hotel lobby to shit. Like
yeah.
that is wild and not sustainable, my friend.
Mm-mm.
On to France.
Mhm.
In the
That's right.
chateau, Marciano is not fired for kissing guests, doing whatever else he does. I don't know. All the things Marciano should have been fired for.
Being an asshole.
Yep. But he is made to work back of house with the chefs, which is hilarious,
Mhm.
and to do their dishes. Lisa Vanderpump, this is where I'm like so like this we all know like this is Lisa Vanderpump is here to make good TV, like whatever.
Mhm.
But like this is where it's like not below deck. um
Mhm.
because like there are no like actual rules, like it's all
Right.
arbitrary. And all of a sudden Lisa Vanderpump is like playing matchmaker.
Right. Like last week, she was like, "Don't go near the girls."
Mm-hmm. And now like almost to like avenge like Hannah, like, oh look, you can
Mhm.
get Marciano back. She is like, these are a bunch of single guys. Oh, and one girl, but mostly a bunch of single guys coming in. And I'm like, why do we
Yeah.
care that the guests are single? Like, we're here to work, but okay. Obviously, all the girls are about it because their boss basically gave them the green light, and now they're thinking, fuck Marciano. And apparently, kissing guests is okay.
Yeah. I um I do part of me wonders if there was something in like the booking that was like, we'd like to get women,
We're down.
please. Please let us fuck them. Um but so half of me is like, please pick a lane. Same thing with the bartenders. Like if
Yeah.
she can't drink behind the bar, neither can he. And then the other half of me is like, okay, feminist icon, let the girlies do whatever they want. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
love it. Also watching Marciano do dishes and take out trash in his leggings under the rule of the chefs is cracking me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is he wearing leggings? It's just so,
Buddy.
I don't understand. I was
Uh,
cackling.
yeah. With the guests, Hannah tries to make a move. Her and Gabriella are both interested in the same guy. Apparently, there's only one cute man among this bunch because we're all going for the same one.
Disagree. They said
Yeah.
they're like, there's only one hot guy. I was like,
Okay.
I feel like they're all pretty
Um,
cute.
he seems not interested in Hannah, although
Mhm.
Hannah says that she chose not to go any further because she would not do that to Marciano. Though she was entertaining the idea, she can't actually go through with it.
Mhm.
He was bored as fuck by that conversation. He wanted out of there. Friend. He does though end up liking Gabriella
Mhm.
and they end up kissing
Mhm.
in a much less like creepy way than Marciano. So like
Mhm.
fair, but still weird to me that that's
Yeah.
allowed. Andre was bummed.
Yeah. Andre being bummed made me bummed. But I did
Mhm.
appreciate her telling him
Yeah.
herself. And I feel like her feeling the need to tell him indicated that there was a little something going on.
Maybe, but like I always think it's so funny in these shows because like we know that like men and in these shows
Mhm.
particularly like they will ride any like technicality
Mhm.
till the wheels fall off and be like, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that. And
Right.
not that I'm saying that's who Andre is, but I think it's like so funny when these guys are like, wait, she's kissing this guy, but I thought we were flirting. As
Yeah.
if like flirting was like some sort of commitment. Like, yeah, you
Mhm.
were flirting. You are flirting. You can keep flirting. She's also flirting with that guy.
Yeah. She's more than welcome.
Yeah, like, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming here. Um, and yeah, still let us know your thoughts on Tortured Poets. And our favorites will almost definitely change. So,
Yeah. I don't know if anything's gonna top Who's Afraid of Little Old Me.
mm,
So good.
yeah. All right, friends.
Bye.
Bye.